Members of the Secret Service immediately rushed to shield the former president yesterday after those shots were fired. And it was also Secret Service members who quickly returned fire and killed the shooter. But still, the fact that a presidential candidate under the protection of the Secret Service has been shot is raising questions about what oversights may have taken place regarding security around the former president. Lawmakers in Washington are vowing already that there will be a congressional investigation. And for more analysis, I am joined now by Anthony Cangelosi, a former Secret Service agent and a lecturer at the John Jay College of Criminal Justice. Anthony, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So it's clear that this could have been a whole lot worse. Thankfully, the former president going to be okay. But based on what we know so far, what do you think may have gone wrong yesterday?
Well, like many other Americans who've been watching the news coverage so far, I've seen the footage of the event probably 7 or 8 times already. When you first see it, it's a little surreal. I've been getting my information from news outlets like NY1 and others so far. So my first question is, how far was the building that the shooter was on? I've heard conflicting information. We've heard 400 feet. I've heard 1,300 feet. But the ultimate question is, why wasn't that rooftop? Why wasn't there a post stander on the rooftop, given the fact that there was a clear line of sight to the stage where former President Trump was speaking? That's my first reaction.
Yeah, and a one-story building, discrepancies in how many feet, but a few hundred feet, let's call it, from the site of the rally. And that, I think, is the big question that so many people are wondering today. How could it be that someone armed like that could get so close to Trump?
Yes, that's correct. And, there's going to be an investigation, and it's going to take a while. I think we all want answers, and we all want answers quickly. But something of this magnitude, of this importance, plus campaigns are ongoing right now, which takes a lot of manpower from the Secret Service and other law enforcement agencies. So this investigation is going to be very thorough. A lot of people are going to be interviewed. And I suspect we're going to get answers to that question and others.
I have to say, I've covered Trump rallies. At least from the media's perspective, you have to get there hours before. You have to leave for security sweeps, and you come back at the time of the rally. What kind of preparations and procedures are supposed to be in place to protect a presidential candidate, whether it's coordination with local officers and other agencies and so forth?
Yeah, I'm familiar with site security details for presidential candidates, which is what Mr. Trump is at this time. He was a former president once, so obviously more assets go into a sitting president than a presidential candidate. But a site like this, and someone of his significance having already been in the office, that site is going to be on lockdown. And yes, you're correct. The magnitudes for entry into the location, but once a patron enters, they're in. They can't leave and come back without being swept again. But that's the venue itself. The surrounding areas, and in this case, a rooftop within a clear line of sight, that's different. But surely they had to have prepared for that, because 400 feet is not that far away, nor is 1,300 feet with a long arm.
It's so interesting what you just said. I guess help us understand more the difference between those levels of protection, between different levels of elected officials. You mentioned the different assets. What is the difference between the security for a former president and a candidate for office compared to the sitting president?
Well, okay, so start with the sitting president versus a candidate. Okay, because Mr. Trump, former President Trump, is in a unique situation. We haven't seen a former president who is the candidate just 4 years later. We haven't seen that. But a presidential candidate is going to get Secret Service protection. So in 2004, when I was working for John Kerry, I can recall an event at a convention center in West Virginia where the dilemma we faced as Secret Service agents securing the location was we didn't have enough magnetometers to handle all the people that were going to come in. So we had to compromise with the campaign as to how we were going to handle that security threat. don't get me wrong, we swept most of the individuals in the arena, but the bottom line is to get everybody in time for the start of the event. We just didn't have that asset, meaning the physical magnetometers and the uniform officers that sweep people coming into the location.
Let me ask you this. Does the deeply polarized political climate that we are all living in right now make the job harder for Secret Service agents?
Look, Secret Service agents, and again, I worked for the Secret Service for 4 years, and I obviously have a profound respect for the organization. They do their job to the best of their ability, regardless of who they're protecting, regardless of what the situation is. They're going to give their absolute best in keeping that individual safe and alive. What emerging situations, they're always changing, whether it makes it more difficult or not. It's hard to say, but the professionals they're always going to deal with each situation as they come.
It was amazing, I have to say, to see how quickly they, surrounded the former president yesterday and got him off that stage. Anthony Cangelosi, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate your insight.
Thank you. You have a nice day.